If you're a foreigner coming to the Philippines under any kinds of visa, did you know that this one small and simple mistake upon arrival at the airport could end up costing you time, money, and effort? Well, today we're going to talk about what happened to my client. What was the problem? What are the consequences? How he solved it? And how should you avoid this? Nope, this is not a story that I just heard from somewhere. This is actually a story of my real life client, and this happened last month. So this is very, very recent. Now, before we get into that, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Kevin, your visa guy here in the Philippines. I put out immigration videos so that foreigners like you will have a better head start in your relocation plan. So stick around, grab a cup of coffee, and let's get down to business. So, what exactly is the mistake? The mistake actually is the arrival stamp. Yes, it is very simple, the arrival stamp. Under normal circumstances, when you arrive in the Philippines, you will get two things as a foreigner. They will put a stamp, and then you will see there your date of arrival and the kind of status, like the visa status that you're under. So, if you have the 13A, the immigration officer at the airport will look for the 13A visa stamp on your passport, and then they will look for the ACRI card. If you are under the 9G working visa, they will look for the 9G stamp, and then they will look for the ACRI card that says worker. If you're under the SRV, they will look for the visa sticker on the passport plus the SRV ID. In my client's case, he is still under a tourist visa. Although he is planning to get the SRV, when he entered the Philippines, he is currently under a tourist visa. So, when you're under a tourist visa, there's no need for you to show an ACRI card because, in the first place, you don't have one. But if you have one, because let's say you've traveled here last year and you still have an ACRI card, that is not required. As a tourist, you only need to show your passport, an onward ticket within 30 days, and then an e-travel registration. That's it. So let's talk about what happened to my client. My client is actually an American citizen who used to live in Thailand with his Thai wife. They have been living there for over 10 years, and finally they decided to move to the Philippines because of the reasons that I cannot share with you today. Personal reasons. It's not even about money. They live comfortably in a city in Thailand. It's just that they have reasons as to why they want to leave Thailand and relocate to the Philippines. So they had been researching a lot, and during their research, they stumbled across one of my videos about the SRV. And then eventually they sent me an email asking for assistance. So they booked a call. We did a free 30-minute call, and then I helped them with real estate, banking, finances, and including the SRV. One of the important discussions that we have was to talk about the important things that they need to have regarding the SRV before their trip to the Philippines. Because at that time, he is an American citizen living in Thailand. Under the SRV program, as an American citizen, he needs to get apostilled documents, which is apostille does not exist in Thailand. If you're a Thailand citizen, instead of apostille, you need to have your documents authenticated at the Philippine embassy. In his case, that does not apply because he is an American, not a Thailand citizen. So we talk about how to solve that, and then eventually we solve it together. After that, they have completed and everything was ready from checklist A to checklist Z. Everything was complete. As the move got closer, they double checked everything from piece to piece, from document to document. This was a very big move for them, so they wanted to make it right. So the day came, they got on a plane, they flew to the Philippines, and guess what? The arrival was very, very smooth. There was no problem at the airport. They passed through the immigration process. They showed their passports, they showed their onward ticket, they showed their e-travel registration. Everything was completely perfect. And after that, they headed down to their Airbnbs and they had a good night's sleep. The next day, they began continuing the process of the SRV documents. So instead of them getting the medical checks in Thailand, they did it here in the Philippines, which is what I would also recommend. So they did their medical check here, they filled out some forms, they got the photos here, and then they applied for the NBI clearance here in the Philippines. And they are in Cebu. You can actually do it here in Cebu. You don't need to travel to Manila. Please know that you are actually exempted from submitting the NBI clearance if you submit your complete SRV application within 90 days from your arrival. However, I still recommend getting the NBI clearance because in the event that you have submitted your application and there is a problem in the process that would delay things and you went over 90 days, the PRA will actually require you to get an NBI clearance. It's not difficult to get the NBI clearance. The problem is it will take 3-4 weeks. And that's what they did. They got my advice, they applied for the NBI clearance, they got the medical checks here done, everything was complete. They paid the PRA one-time application fees, the annual fee, and so on and so forth. Everything was perfect. Here's another reminder. If this is your first time watching me, I always tell my subscribers about this. Please extend your tourist visa before you submit your application to the PRA. Because if things will get delayed, the PRA will not continue the process if your tourist visa is expired. So they will request you to get your passport so you can do the extension by yourself, and after the extension is done, then you will return your passport to them. But note that the process will be stopped. It will be halted until that your passport will be back in their hands. So do the extension first before you submit your application to the PRA. So that's what they did. They took my advice. The next day after they finished their other SRV documentation, they went to the immigration office to do the visa waiver. For those of you who don't know, the visa waiver is the first extension that you can only have after you arrive in the Philippines. And it's going to put you up another 29 days extension. So if you got 30 days from arrival, and when you do the visa waiver, it's going to put you up another 29 days, and you will have a total of 59 days stay. And for them, that will be sufficient enough to cover up the processing time to get the SRV. So they got to the immigration office, they filled out a paperwork, they waited in line, and when they submitted their passports for processing, they had a conversation like this with the staff at the immigration. Okay, I don't really know how the conversation went, but I think this is what happened because I was not there. But the client explained it to me, so I think this is what happened. So when he handed his passport for processing, the staff checks the passport, and he was told, "Sir, you actually have a 1-year visa-free stay." And he was like, "Really? I get a 1-year visa-free? Well, that's good. How did I get that?" And the staff told him, "Well, that is a privilege that you get for traveling with your Filipino spouse to the Philippines." And he was like, "No, okay, first and foremost, I don't have a Filipino spouse. I'm not married to one. This is my wife right here. She's a Thailand citizen, and she is also doing the visa extension process. And I think she's already done with hers." And the staff told him, "Okay, so I see where the problem is. You shouldn't have this balikbayan." And he was like, "Well, I don't even know what a balikbayan is. And I just went through the airport with no problems." And the staff was like, "Well, you need to have this corrected because this is not the right status for you. You should only have 30 days. So they went back and forth, and two things happened after. Good news and bad news. The good news is he can fix the visa, and there's zero cost to it. The bad news is he can only do it in Manila main office. Remember, he is in Cebu, and he can only correct the mistake that he did not do in the first place in Manila. So imagine if you are in his situation or in his shoes. If you are living in Mindanao or somewhere north in Luzon, you cannot fix it at your local immigration office. You can only fix it by traveling to the main office in Manila, and that is a hassle, considering that they still need to process the SRV. But they cannot continue in processing the SRV if they cannot fix this correction of the stamp. So they went their way, they were frustrated, but they were able to fix it. So after that conversation, only the wife was given a visa extension. he was not given because he needs to fix the status first. So they looked around because they want to hire agencies instead because they don't want to travel to Manila for that sole purpose. So they went around to the other like corners in the mall and they found visa agencies and they were quoted 15,000 to 20,000. And I'm not saying that's expensive or that's cheap. It's just the fee for their services because you don't need to travel to Manila. So that is the cost for their service. Even though it is completely free to correct the stamp, you still need to go to Manila to fix it. So they were actually considering to do it by themselves because there's no fee to it, but I told them about the cost involved. You need to pay for a flight because there's a two of you, you need to pay two flights back and forth. You need to stay there for a couple of days because you don't know how long the process will take. You need to learn about the process, you need to wait in line, you need to pay for the meals. Of course, you're going to be there the whole day. So there's a lot of things that you will do instead of just hiring a visa agency. So it's better to hire a visa agency. Well, if you have time, then you can do it on your own. But again, it's time consuming. Fast forward, he was able to fix his incorrect stamp and was able to extend his tourist visa as soon as he got his passport back from the main office in Manila. Thereafter, they were able to complete the SRV requirements. They did the interview process at the PRA Cebu and everything was complete. Currently, they are now waiting for the approval of their SRV application. So the moral of the story is to check the stamp on your passport when you arrive in the Philippines. If you're under the SRV, make sure that SRV is written on your passport. If you're under the 13A, make sure the 13A is written on your passport. If you're under the 9G, make sure 9G is written on your passport. If you're under a tourist, it will be like E0408, or it could be the 30th day from your arrival in the Philippines. So there would be two dates at that point. Your arrival date and then the 30th day. The 30th day is the third day visa free that you're granted as part of the E0408. If you don't know what E0408 is, that is the list of countries that can enter the Philippines without a visa. Even if you go through the immigration check without a problem, and if you see there's something wrong with your stamp, you can actually go back to the immigration officer who stamped your passport and have it corrected on the same day. So you don't have to go through the same hassle and inconvenience that I talked about. Well, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate the support. If you find this content helpful, show me some love in the comment section. If you have questions about Philippine visas and other relocation needs, just send me an email, kervin at gorelocationph.com. That is KERVIN at gorelocationph.com. And before I forget, I want to thank the people who have been supporting my channel since day one, and especially to those people who have been sending donations to the channel. I truly, truly appreciate it. Anyway, guys, this has been Kevin, your visa guy here in the Philippines. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace.